Edward Brown, host of The Best of Investing, here to remind you to tune in this week on Saturday at 8 p.m. Our guest is going to be Dan Deppen. You're not going to want to miss this show. That's The Best of Investing on Saturday at 8. Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during the show. That certificate's not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tan Bella Tanning Salon with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. And since we are still in baseball season, that's our theme today. Our trivia questions are going to be about baseball. These are going to be a little harder than the average bear, so you got to be a real baseball fan to know this one. Now, today we have 2 special guests, Adam Roberts and Emily Cortright of A&E Investments. I figured out the A is for Adam and the E is for Emily. Let's see here. They are the of A&E Investments. Today's episode is from flipping apartments to flipping money and becoming the bank. Adam Roberts and Emily Cortright are dynamic real estate investors who have undergone remarkable shifts in mindset and investment strategies throughout their entrepreneurial journey. They are engineers by trade and transitioned from corporate roles to real estate investing in 2013, initially focusing on single-family properties. They later shifted to large multifamily syndications in 2017 and have syndicated over $250 million in assets since then. Adam and Emily continue to adapt and grow by venturing into mortgage notes, a specialty that I know about. Okay. This strategic shift not only provided them with opportunities for diversification, but also offered cash flowing investment options for them and their investments. In 1 year, they've acquired over $1.2 million in notes and have systematically partnered with investors to sell partial notes. This long-term cash flow strategy is a win-win and allows both sides to embrace a wealth building mindset. Let's see here. I'm going to just kind of go right into it. Well, Adam and Emily, welcome to The Best of Investing.
Thank you. We're honored to be here.
Thanks, Edward. Love it.
Yeah. Now, you guys are in Cincinnati, aren't you?
Emily's from Cincinnati, but we currently live in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, okay. There you go. I recognize when I got the phone call, it was from
513 number.
One. Okay. All right. So how do you build a portfolio that is diverse to include cash flowing investments as well as growth assets?
So we actually had a huge realization moment about a year and a half ago. And we were extremely heavily invested in multifamily. Like you mentioned, we've done 8 large syndications, 250 million in assets. That's where we put most of our money. We are also passive investors. So we have passively invested in about 18 multifamily deals. And then we got a life lesson when the market shifted and the interest rates started shooting up a few years ago. And within the matter of about 6 months, the income coming in from our multifamily investments was pretty much cut in half. And so thousands of dollars a month came out of our income just because of the shifting market and the shifting interest rates.
Okay, so let me ask you, when you say the shifting interest rate, is that because you guys had an adjustable mortgage on the properties? Okay.
Yes. So some of the investments we made were in properties that had bridge loans, and those bridge loans had floating rate interest rates. And as soon as those rates shot up, all of a sudden the cash flow, the distributions from the property stopped. And so we looked at each other and we said, something's got to change. We have to adjust our strategy. We had just sold an asset and we had a little bit of money left. And we looked at each other and we said, this money, whatever we invested in, we have to cash flow. It has to cash flow.
Yeah.
And so we dived in to mortgage notes. It was a meant to be moment. Within a few months after that conversation, we were in a training room and being taught about the benefits of mortgage notes. And so we made a fairly big pivot about a year and a half ago to say, you know what, we need to start building up the notes side of our business, of our portfolio and our net worth, because we were about 90% invested in growth assets.
Gotcha. On the multifamily ones. Yeah. Definitely we're going to dive deeper into this because I'm definitely very curious to see how you actually did the pivot. So let's see here. We have our first trivia question. Which country, this is about baseball now, which country produces more major league players per capita than any other country in the world? Call 888-912-1190. The first caller with the correct answer wins that tanning certificate, which, by the way, is worth over $100. Do want to make a mention here for the Transcendence Theater. Check them out. They're of their upcoming performances, bestnighthever.org. It's like going to Broadway without having to fly all the way to New York. They do a really, really good show. I've seen a number of their performances, and they are phenomenal. Bestnighthever.org. All right, stay with us. You are listening to The Best of Investing. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guests, Adam Roberts and Emily Cortright of A&E Investments. Our first trivia question, let's see if anybody knows the answer to this one. This is a hard one. Baseball. Which country produces more major league players per capita than any other country in the world?
Is it the Dominican Republic?
You know, it's funny. I have a national sports show that I do, and that's what someone else answered. And that's a good answer. Not right, though. Curacao. I guess there's only like 10 people on the island or something. And if you have 2 players, there you go. Yeah, that's why it's a per capita one. I thought that was kind of interesting. So, all right. So our guests come from A&E Investments, and they pivoted from owning real estate primarily to the mortgage notes. How did that actually happen? You said you went to some classes?
Yeah. We went to several training events. Actually got heavily involved in a local group here in Dallas Fort Worth, and quite honestly, for years and years, we thought owning the real estate and being the owner was the best part. We always felt bad for the bank, right? We're like, wow, we're making all this money and the bank's making like 3.5%.
Yeah.
And but yeah, really, like Emily mentioned, all it took was a little bit of a market cycle to realize that the lender's in control, like fully in control, regardless of what happens, and in the position of least risk. So, how did it happen? It was really a mindset shift. We went from not understanding that the lender was in that type of position to fully understanding why they did the deals they do and what type of returns they get.
And to expand on the group that we joined, it offered education, coaching, mentoring, but also inventory. And so the group had its own trade desk, which served up notes for sale on a silver platter. And the reason that we did that and we invested in that education was because it allowed us to get into the note investing industry very, very quickly. It compressed the time. And so within 2 months of being in the program, we were ready to buy notes, and we had already identified the notes we were going to buy to deploy the amount of money that we had to cash flow.
And what was that, Eddie Speed's group, or was it a different one?
Correct. Note School.
Okay. Note School. Gotcha. What kind of rate of return? You said you were able to pick off some good notes. What kind of rate of return were you buying the notes at?
It's ranged anywhere from like an 11% to a 14% yield.
Okay. And now that was a few years ago, right?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with interest rates going up, et cetera, are you still able to find those kinds of returns?
We are seeing ones at 12, but we are also seeing really longer term ones closer to the mid 9s, maybe pushing up to 10. And so I feel like it has come down a little bit. But I also feel like even in the last year, the note investing industry has gotten a little bit more recognition and a few more people coming in. So that there's more people that want the same number of notes, so a little bit higher demand.
Yeah, and that's going to push the purchase prices of the UPB, as they say, the unpaid principal balance. So now leveraging OPM, other people's money, and OPT, other people's
time.
There we go. I'm wondering why. I know it's got to be that somewhere in there for win-win investing. Can you get into that a little more?
Absolutely. So we work within our investors in a couple different ways. It's with notes specifically. One is we offer investors just a promissory note at 7% for 3 years. And we take that money that we are paying 7% on, and we go and buy notes at 10 to 12% yield. And what's really nice about that structure is we are getting the funds initially in our bank account. We don't have to float any note purchases. The investor is leveraging our time that we've spent getting the education, finding the deal, analyzing the deal, closing on the deal, and all of the above. And so we find that the investors, they are very happy to get their 7% when the money is just sitting in their retirement account doing nothing or sitting on the sidelines. The other way we work with investors is more on a partial method, where we buy the note first and then we sell them a portion of the note. Yep. And that, like Adam said, we do float that payment. So we tend to have to be able to buy the note and then find the investor and recapitalize ourselves.
Well, let me ask you, for Mr. Investor who does it the first time, the first way with you, where they give you the money at 7%, where's their security?
So we do a variety of collateral in terms of other business assets, and for some investors that we know well, we'll do personal guarantees.
Okay, but are they, since you haven't purchased any notes yet, is the guarantee that they're getting, or the collateral they're getting, these other assets that you put up as collateral? Like, in other words, if you guys died in a plane crash, how would they be able to collect? Rather than them being unsecured.
It's based on our note portfolio. It's based on the assets inside the note portfolio.
Okay, very good. All right, believe it or not, we got to go to another break here. It goes kind of fast, I know. All right, here's our second trivia question on baseball. Through the year 2020, so nothing past 2020, through the year 2020, of the 16 franchises of the modern two-league era, which one has never won more than 100 games during a regular season? All right, that's our baseball question. Through the year 2020, of the 16 franchises of the modern two-league era, which one has never won more than 100 games in a regular season? Call 888-912-1190. First caller with correct answer wins that tanning certificate. Want to make a mention here also for Dr. Wilkinson's Backyard Resort and Mineral Springs, voted best natural hot springs in Calistoga by Travel and Leisure Magazine. Call 707-942-4102 or go to drwilkinson.com. Stay with us. The Best of Investing. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guests, Adam Roberts and Emily Cortright. Our second trivia question was baseball question. Through the year 2020, of the 16 franchises of the modern two-league era, which one has never won more than 100 games during a regular season? Any baseball fans there?
You want to guess?
You can guess.
Chicago White Sox.
Yes. Very good. All right. So far, 1 for 2. That'll get you in the Hall of Fame. In fact, even if you miss the next question, it'll get you
with those questions.
Yeah, well, especially that. Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. Moving on here. Building an investment empire with your spouse partner. Okay. There, just like that. Are you guys married?
Mm-hmm. We are.
Oh, okay. I got different last names, so I wasn't sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. So how are you guys building your investment empire?
Well, really, it's with the generational wealth mindset. And I can't say it started that way. We've definitely learned more of that mindset as we've gone on. But, we have a 3-year-old daughter now. And, everything we do has, our big why is to ensure that everything's set up for success for her life, right? And for the remainder of our lives. And it really drives what we do each and every day. Hence Emily discussing us needing to make just a significant pivot at a time when we were having a cash crunch on the multifamily side. Yeah. What better way to do it than with your spouse?
Very good.
I think one important habit that we've adopted, and we actually have been doing this since we were dating, is keeping track of our monthly financials. And so every month we would see what money's coming in, our income, our expenses, look at our balance sheet, our assets, our liabilities, understand where the money is. And even from the very beginning, single family investments, that knowing our financials allowed us to make investing decisions easier because we either had the money or we needed to borrow the money. But it really drove our roadmap for our wealth building journey by knowing our financials. So that's a big thing that I recommend for all couples is to at least understand your financial picture together.
And this is your full-time job?
It is.
It is now. Okay. Let's see. We're moving on. Okay. So investing with a quote banker's spread mindset as opposed to an investor's spread. You want to explain that to us?
Yeah, and this was really the biggest aha moment for me when I was getting educated on mortgage notes. And again, you don't realize it when you're a real estate investor. You just think that, hey, I'm making so much more money than everybody else out there. It doesn't matter. But in reality, the owner of the real estate, me as a multifamily owner and operator, I am subject to the conditions of the market. And let's just talk interest rates, even though there's a bunch of stuff out there. But right, I am subject to how that market, the capital markets, what I can buy my cost of capital for. I'm completely wide open to that. So like today, I can't buy any real estate, or it's not easy. Whereas if, again, this was just a total aha moment, but the continual recycling of money, the continual flow of principal back into the bank account, redeploying that principal, finding other, let's call it mortgage notes to invest in, creating cash flow that comes into the bank account and gets redeployed over and over again. Over time creates this machine that we're calling a banker's spread, where hey, the original capital might have been recycled through like 5 or 6 different assets. It's now back in my bank account to get redeployed again, and it just amplifies the yield that you can make in the long run.
Well, interesting, and I'm going to get into this in the next when we come back from break. So I do a lot of work with Pacific Private Money, raising capital for them. And one of the problems with doing individual notes is that when a note pays off, your money is sitting at, well, back then, 1%. Now you can get 4 or 5% in the bank until you're ready to get your next note. And that can be a problem because then your yield goes down as money is just sitting idle. So but you don't want to make mistakes just buying. So at Pacific Private Money, we actually have a few funds where the money is just constantly, it never comes back unless you want it to come back. And so it constantly stays deployed. All right, here's our next trivia question here, talking baseball. Is let's see here. Who was the only American League batting champ without a homer that season? All right. I'll give you a hint too. The year is 1972. Who was the only American League batting champ without a homer that season? Call 888-912-1190. First caller with the correct answer wins that tanning certificate. Also want to make a mention here for the Axiom Hotel in San Francisco, located in the heart of Union Square. The Axiom Hotel blends a scenery of history with modern touches. Guests rave about the staff and how quiet the hotel is, which is pretty good because you're in the heart of Union Square, which can be kind of busy. So if it's quiet, that's a great place to be staying. Check out the Axiom Hotel. AxiomHotels.com. All right, stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to The Best of Investing one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guests, Adam Roberts and Emily Cortright. Okay, so see if you know the answer to this question, this baseball question. Who was the only American League batting champ without a homer in that season?
This is a total guess, unless you want to do it.
I do not want to guess.
George Brett?
No. I don't know. Was he in the league back then? I don't think he was.
Maybe not.
That's
maybe not. That's before my time.
Yeah. Or Rod Carew.
Okay.
So kind of by the Minnesota Twins and the Angels. Very good, very, very well. He's a Hall of Famer. Anyway, so before we cut to break, we were talking about individual notes versus a fund, and there's pros to cons to both. At Pacific Private Money, there's 3 different funds. There's the Opportunity Fund, which is strictly doing construction loans. There's the Pacific Southwest Note Fund, of which I'm one of the managers. We just pay a flat 8.5%. and we buy discounted notes. So we're buying them very, very conservative, very similar to the ones you're buying probably. And then we have our Freedom Fund, which makes primarily focusing on owner-occupied consumer bridge loans. So people want to buy a house, they go to the bank. Bank turns them down usually, for speed because they want to get the house quickly. Broker comes to us, and we'll get the deal done. The good thing about recycling the capital on that part of it is that we charge points. So it's great when we do a loan and someone pays us back in a week.
Yeah.
And from your guys' standpoint, when you buy, because you're buying discounted notes, right? If someone pays off early, you capture that discount right away. So it's great when these longer term loans turn out to be shorter term loans. For more information on the various funds, by the way, Pacific Private Money on that Freedom Fund, they're paying anywhere from 8% to 11%, depending upon how much money you put in. So we actually just recently had someone deposit $1 million in. There's we do ask for, I think it's a 60-day out, because we have to kind of watch. So it's not
really
completely tied up. Yeah, and obviously you never know when money's going to be available because some people cash in, some people add money to it, but generally it's taking around 60 to 90 days to cash people out. So it's not tied up forever. Okay, so let's move on here and check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Let's see here. We have a couple of questions for you here. So building an investment strategy focus, we already talked about the generation wealth. How to turn your investing business into a lifestyle business. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Emily and I grew up in the corporate world, working in manufacturing facilities, building jet engines and aerospace hardware, and amazing technology. But really, it was you go to work every day, right? Clock in, clock out. And for us, what real estate's turned into, again, I don't think this is something that we saw coming before we got into it, but real estate and now mortgage notes, it allows us to have a lock and leave lifestyle where quite literally, we didn't know this even 2 days ago, but we're taking off this weekend to go to Denver, Colorado to go hang out with friends. It was completely just last minute. And it's afforded by the time freedom that we have because, you run your own business, you call your own schedule. I think real estate is specifically good for that because, again, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. There's a lot of long-term planning and projects. It's not like, hey, every day I need to have my nose to the grindstone, making sure that, my property manager's showing up to work on time. No, we work with professional companies and we've got,
So you still own some of the multifamily.
Okay. Yeah, we still have 6 large apartment communities, and we have a great operating rhythm with our management company, right? We have, every other week phone calls where we're reviewing metrics. It's very planned. It's very coordinated. And so it allows us to just kind of run our schedule and stay on top of things and live life.
Well, management is definitely the most important aspect of that. Do you, for your investors who are in your multifamily, they're like a limited partnership or an LLC?
That's right.
Is there an exit plan, or how do people get out of that if they suddenly want their money?
Yeah, generally in the multifamily world on these, they're to your point, they are limited partnership syndications. And so it's a 3 to 5 year investment horizon. But it's not liquid. So unlike a fund, for example, if they make an investment in a specific property with us, their funds are tied up for the life of that investment. It's, like I said, generally a 3 to 5 year investment.
And what kind of return are these investors? Are you leveraged? Well, you are because the interest rates have gone up, et cetera. Is it like 70% leverage or 60%?
It changes. So, years ago when we got into business, it was as much as 80% leverage. You could get very handsome loans at 85% leverage. However, as we started looking at more variable rate financing, we got a lot smarter. And the last couple loans we've done, 55% leverage.
That's really smart. It keeps it more conservative.
It's saved us.
When interest rates were really low, you'd have a really good debt service coverage ratio, so you could afford to get 80, 85%. Gee, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I don't know
Hey.
why. Hey, this is what happens when you have 6 years of high school. I'll tell you. This is my first rodeo on that. Very cool. So, how do people get? You're on the show. Are you looking for capital from investors? Is that what the goal is?
Yeah, I would say we're always looking to build relationships.
Okay.
If there's a product, an offering that we have that fits somebody's portfolio, we love working with folks. So yeah.
Okay. How do people get a hold of you?
They can contact us at our website, which is www.ae, like Adam and Emily, aeinvest.net. And
Okay.
similar to your variety of funds, we also do private lending. So we have opportunities for investors as short as 13 months, 3 years, and then longer term. So we try to have a variety of products that our investors can choose from based on their needs.
Okay, very good. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We'll definitely talk off air because in our Southwest fund, we're okay about doing longer term notes, and so we're hoping to get good prices on that. All right, and I want to make a quick mention here and every time I say this, I always get hungry for Mountain Mike's Pizza in San Rafael. Pizza the way it ought to be. I tell you, every time I just even mention the name Mountain Mike's Pizza, I get hungry. So check out Mountain Mike's Pizza in San Rafael. All right, stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. We're going to come back with some closing comments and some thoughts for the day. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Adam Roberts and Emily Cortright. All right, people, let's talk about the outlook. What do you think? Potential change in with the election, interest rates, they probably are not going to go up for any longer. It looks like they may come down. Crystal ball, who knows? What do you think that'll do to the note industry?
Well, in the note industry specifically, I think that it's actually going to probably create some inventory potentially. People that want to maybe redeploy funds or recapitalize. Let's say you're owner financier that may be holding on to some notes that need a little seasoning. All of a sudden now says, hey, you know what? Before rates get too far down and people start to requalify for homes, I want to get out and do some more deals. So I could see maybe some home financing folks or seller financing folks unloading some inventory once the seasoning is right. Certainly that, we've purchased plenty from folks like that. And if they want to keep their...
So have you, like I was going to say, in our fund, when our Southwest fund, we started buying notes from seller carryback, owner seller carryback. And it was working really well, but we were finding it a little bit too hard to find product. Are you guys finding some decent product from the owner carryback?
Yeah. And I think it's not, I'll admit, I don't think it's the two of us that are necessarily out pounding the pavement. It's working through trade desks, note brokers, where obviously there might be a little bit of a markup, but at the same time, if the seller, if the note owner, the seller financier, if that's their method of marketing their product, then it's working, and so it'll get into our portfolio.
And I think as the real estate cycle continues to be a little compressed with its cash flows in the single family, the multifamily world, I personally think that more and more people are going to come into the realization of how important cash flow really is. Yeah. And there are going to be a lot of people that maybe switch from the traditional real estate investments to more funds that provide cash flow, to notes, things like that, because we've gone through the lesson ourselves of how critical having cash flowing investments is to your portfolio. I mean, that's what we used to pay for diapers and daycare and things like that. And so,
do you buy any non-performing loans at all? At
discount? We've done one. So we've got the experience of doing one.
But that's I
mean, I personally like the performing ones. There's been a few non-performing ones that way exceeded my expectations. I mean, we just hit grand slams on them, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit too old for this stuff, and I'd like to be a little bit more conservative and kind of stay with more of the income produced, especially since our fund, we got to produce income for the investors on that. Well, it's been a pleasure again to get in touch with you. It's aeinvest.net.
.net.
That's
.net.
right.
Okay. And for more information on Pacific Private Money's funds, go to pacificprivatemoney.com. Check out the website. They've got a few different funds. One of them, again, is a Southwest fund that I manage, but there's also the Freedom Fund and the Opportunity Fund to check out. All right. So now, you guys ready for our thoughts for the day? Here we go.
All right.
Why do fat chance and slim chance mean the same thing? You ever thought about that? Right?
Oh, wow.
And when French people swear, do they say, "Pardon my English"? Because we always say, "Pardon my French," right, when we swear. All right, audience, tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.